What's up, everyone? This is the God King Lord coming back with part 7. Sure, when I was on part 6, I was saying things about it was part 5, but I did so many parts that I made an error and said part 6. Part 5 when it was really part 6. But what have we been talking about for the series? I've been proving without a shadow of a doubt. I have proven that tithes was never, ever, ever money. That tithes was food. But I want to prove it even more. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 31, and we're going to start at verse 4. 2 Chronicles 31:4, and it reads, saying, moreover, he commanded the people that dwelt in Jerusalem, to give the portion of the priests and the Levites, that they might be encouraged in the law of Yahweh. At this time, when you read 2 Chronicles 31, the people, the children of Israel, stopped tithing. There was times that the children of Israel didn't tithe. It's like they tithed and got bored and just stopped. So when the commandment came that they should encourage the Levites in doing the law. Why? Because the Levites, they cannot grow their own food. They can't grow their own food. The Levites' job is in the tabernacles. That's what the Levites' job. The house of Aaron's job is in the tabernacles, but the Levites who are not of the house of Aaron, their job is to help the house of Aaron bring in the tithes. They're the only ones, and it's going to be proven through here. What am I doing? I'm bringing scriptures and bringing proof. Damn it, please wake up, Israel. And it says in verse 5, and as soon as the commandment came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits. And what is the first fruits? Of corn, wine, and oil, and honey, and of all the increase of thy field. And the tithe of all things brought they in abundantly. So it linked the tithe to the first fruit. Remember I told you when I went to Numbers the 18th chapter. Numbers the 18th chapter was dealing with what? The first fruit. As soon as the first fruit comes, 10% of the first fruit went to the Levites. It is there. That's a covenant that Yahweh made with the Levites. Because the Levites, they didn't own land. They didn't have inheritance in Israel. And because they didn't have an inheritance or had land, they cannot grow their own food. They couldn't do anything like that because their work was only with Yahweh. Because Yahweh is their inheritance in part. So Numbers the 18th chapter was dealing with the first fruits. And notice again, it mentioned the tithes being connected to the first fruit. So when the first fruit came, the children of Israel tithed the first fruit. When you look at Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, verse 22 and down, that was dealing with the end of the growing season, the year by year, the end of the growing season. And we know that the end of the growing season, you have your feasts and stuff. You have to understand too, is that tithe right there in Deuteronomy, you eat. How many people who's tithing 10% of their income, how many of y'all have ever enjoyed your tithe? Oh, dear God, these schools didn't even teach you that. See, here we go again. These schools they don't teach tithes. So if tithes was money, which we know damn well it's not, if tithes was money and you could tithe in America, and Deuteronomy the 14th chapter, how come nobody is tithing to themselves? That's why I said don't forget about the Levite, because he has no part in Jerusalem. Don't forget about the Levites. Why? Because when the children of Israel get there, they are eating their tithes. So how many of y'all have taken your 10% of income and spend it on yourself and didn't forget about the school and gave the schools the leftovers? How many of y'all did that? So by default, again, y'all not even following your own stupid ass tithing doctrine. Y'all not following it at all. So I wanted to really make that point. I wanted to drive that home because I want everybody to see that these folks who's talking about tithes is the money and stuff don't even follow their own doctrine that goes that they treat the tithes as money. Then it says, and notice it says corn, wine, and oil, and honey. Notice it said that. Where is the money? Where's the money? Money, 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 money. Where is the money? Money, 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 money. Where the hell is the money? Then it says in verse 6, I want everybody to listen. It says, and concerning the children of Israel in Judah that dwelt in the cities of Judah. Remember, that's proof again. Get an old map that shows the 11 tribes of Israel minus the Levites. That's what our mine is. Who owned the city, who named their cities after their tribe. It says Judah, it is city of Judah. The cities of Judah, they also brought in the tithes of, oh, come on, man. Come on, man. It says of oxen and sheep and the tithe of holy things which were consecrated unto Yahweh thy power, and laid them by heaps. So remember, what does holy means? Separate. What was consecrated? Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. Come on. I mean, I'm the one who's precepting it. I don't see your Hebrew Israelite leaders precepting this. What did Yahweh made holy? Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. What was made holy? The seed of thy tree, the seed of the field was made holy. Then the herd and the flock, each one that passed under the rod, the 10th shall be what? Made holy unto Yahweh our power. Money was never ever made holy, so Yahweh can never accept money as the tithe. He can't do it. He cannot do it. Remember Malachi 3:6, I am Yahweh, I change not. And it says, and laid them by heaps. Why did they lay them by heaps? How come they couldn't just take the tithes in? Because that's when the tribe of Levi, who was not of the house of Aaron, helps the house of Aaron bring in the tithes of the storehouse in Jerusalem, that there should be meat, the corn, the oil, the wine, the threshing of the herd, of the flock, the honey. That was made, that's meat in the storehouse in Yahweh's house. I mean, folks, I mean, come on now. Then it says, in the 3rd month, they began to lay the foundation of the heaps and finished them in the 7th month. And when Hezekiah and the princes came, saw the heap, they blessed Yahweh and his people Israel. Then Hezekiah questioned with the priests and the Levites concerning the heaps. And Azariah, the chief priest of the house of Zadok, answered him and said, since these people, begin to bring the offerings into the house of Yahweh, that's in Jerusalem, people, here we go. We have had enough to eat and have left plenty, for Yahweh have blessed his people, and that which is left is a great store. And let me read that again. Yahweh have blessed his people. Remember what I've been saying? That the reason why there was so much tithes and offerings laid up by heaps, because nobody could bring in the tithes except for the Levites, But the house of Aaron is the only one who has to perform the sacrificial burnt offering, meat offering ceremony to Yahweh for the tithes to be accepted. But notice it says, they said Yahweh has blessed his people. How did they know that Yahweh blessed his people? Like I've been saying, the tithes is the result of the blessing. It's the result. So the children of Israel were blessed because they brought the tithes and heaps so much that it took a while to prepare the chamber. It took a while because the process of it. They looked and they was amazed. The chief priest, high priest had to question the priest. Like, look, what's going on? Look at all this food. Oh, Yahweh blessed his people. So when Yahweh blessed his people, the people tithe off the blessing, because the tithes and the blessings are the same. So therefore, anybody talk about, I tithe money, then you should be able to get back money. You can't tithe money and then get a brand new house. You can't tithe money and get a brand new car. You can't tithe money and get a business. You can't tithe money and this is the year of the overflow. There is no such thing. The tithes is a result of the blessing, because the tithe is 10% of the blessing of the corn, of the oil, of the wine, of the firstling of the herd, and of the flock, and of the honey. Come on, folks. Come on. I mean, Hebrew Israelite leaders, you're looking bad now. You're looking bad now. So please show me where he said, wow, look at this. These shekels, these silver, look at all these golds. Oh, this is the result of the tithes. It's not in there. Money has never ever made the list. You know why? Because it was not made holy in Leviticus, the 27th chapter. So you see again how Judah, in the cities of Judah, had to go to Jerusalem and lay the tithes outside by heaps. Everybody went to Jerusalem, where Yahweh's temple is, and laid it all by heaps, because they were not allowed to bring in the tithes unless they bear sin and die. Can't you see the connection, everyone? Can't you see the connection? Now I know folks want to sit up there and misuse a scripture. They want to misuse a scripture for their benefit, because here's the scams. I call it the scam scripture. Well, the scripture itself is not a scam, but the ones who normally quote this, they keep justifying money. We'll use this, Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verses 9. Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, verse 9 says, honor Yahweh with thy substance. See, Yahweh Karab, as they told me at HYK, well, Nabia told me, see, Yahweh Karab, Yahweh said, honor him with your substance. With your substance, money. No, Nabaya. No, because you didn't read on. And it says, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. And we have read in Tobit, and we read in Chronicles, that the first fruit is connected to the tithes. So we honor Yahweh with our substance. That's the first fruit in our tithes. So when we honor him with that, we are giving 10% of the increase of our land. But see, we're going to read on even more. And it says in verse 10, so shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. So when we honor Yahweh with our substance, that same substance that we honor him with, we will have so much in abundance that our barns will be full. Now, let me ask you a question. Hebrew Israelite leaders and you doggone stupid ass pastors, do you keep money in the barns? Can you please show me any scripture where people kept money in barns? What do you keep in barns? Been to a farm? I have. I've been to plenty of farms. Well, not plenty, like maybe 3 farms. You know, see how the cows, you know, how they milk the cows and stuff. And I also drink milk straight out of a cow. And that milk is so good. Supermarket milk sucks. I love the raw milk. But what do you keep in barns? You keep food in barns. Oh, so that's what in Malachi, when it says, prove thee now that I will not open up the windows of heaven, pour you out a blessing that you'll have no room to receive. Why would you have no room to receive? Because your barns will overflow and your presses, that's your wine presses, will overflow. So therefore, when we tithe 10% of our income, right? Let's just go there. If we tithe 10% of our income, if tithes was the money, and tithes was never ever the freaking money at all, you dumbass Hebrew Israelite leaders, you're a goddamn liar, and you thieving ass pastors, you're a goddamn liar. But if tithes was money and people are tithing money, then my question is, how's your bank account? Or like that commercial, Capital One, what's in your wallet? How is your bank account? Why is it that everybody tithing is broke? Excuse me, Hebrew Israelite leaders, almost everybody in your schools are broke. Something wrong with your doctrine. Something wrong with your tithing doctrine. And because the tithes are given twice a year, but the 3rd year is called the year of tithing, and I will get into that a little bit later. I want to know, since the tithes come twice a year, the first fruit and at the end of the growing season, so we know the blessings are there twice, because the tithes is the result of the blessing. My question to you is, when are these people bank account going to overflow like crazy? Because according to this tithing doctrine that's in the scriptures, everybody, their barns overflow and their presses overflowed. They have wine galore. They have food galore. How come none of these people in these Hebrew Israelite schools ever had a big time increase or overflow in their bank account? And it goes back to Zaquan Malak when he said he tithed and ran into serious debt. Can't you see? He went against scripture. So how come Zaquan Malak ran into serious debt, but he was a tithe payer? Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. But yet you Hebrew Israelite leaders, you too prideful. You cannot accept that you're wrong. And I'm going to get, when I get into the series of giving of your offering, and that series will be up next, because I'm going to hit tithes and I'm going to hit offerings. When I hit offerings, you're going to laugh like crazy, because I'm going to have fun making everybody who believe in that 10% income crap, I'm going to make them feel bad. So when Nabaya, one of the elders of HYK, used Proverbs 3:9 against me, he didn't read on to verse 10. He didn't even read the full. He said, honors Yahweh with your substance. And he said, your substance, that's your money. But the problem, Nabaya, is Proverbs 3:9 and 10 was not dealing with money either. And what you have to understand is sometimes our leaders can turn into Satan, the devil themselves. That's why the Bible always tells us, curses a man who maketh man his strength. You know, when you're constantly leaning on everybody for the answers instead of getting close to Yahweh, you know, when you're close to Yahweh, when Yahweh show you something and show you that your leader is off and you can prove it. I'm not talking about those who's talking about, oh, the Gentiles can be saved. Nah, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, the ones who believe that the Sabbath is done away with. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when somebody comes with proof to show that you Hebrew Israelite leaders are off, and you continue to stay with your doctrine like y'all are with your 10% income doctrine, which is crap, then we ought to obey God rather than man. That's your Acts chapter 5 verse 29. I mean, it's a shame, but I feel blessed by Yahweh to share, you know, this tithing doctrine, the real tithe doctrine, not this crappy satanic 10% income doctrine. So I'll be back with part 7.